We haven't had an opportunity because I know you've been incredibly busy to talk about this, but what did you think about it all?
Well, I was just talking to Roger Penske and Mark Miles a minute ago, and I've been doing this for 50 years, and this is probably the biggest news story ever. And what's kind of funny is, I've got all these people saying, "Hey, Miller, did you know about it? Didn't tell anybody, or did you get surprised?" About 3 weeks ago, a guy that used to be involved heavily in Indycar racing called me and said, "Hey, something big's coming down to Speedway." And I said, "Yeah, you've said that for the last 10 years." So I didn't put a lot of stock in it. And then late last week, I heard from somebody else that was kind of close to the Holman George family that said, "Hey, they're going to sell the track, but it's either going to be Liberty Media or Roger Penske." Well, I called Mark Miles and left him a voicemail, but what I said to him was, "Hey, I know you're somewhere this weekend. I'm in Vegas with the boys. Call me when you get a chance." And I sent an email to Josie George, one of the members of the Holman George family, and said, "Hey, Josie, your voice mailbox is full. Can you call me when you get a chance?" And she's always good about calling me back, and she didn't call me. So I'm thinking, you know what? There may be something to this finally. So I said, I'll just wait till I get back from Vegas, and I'll work on it this week. Well, we got back at 3 a.m., and I woke up about 11, and the first thing I did was turn my phone on. I had about 95 voicemails and texts, and the phone rings about 4 minutes later, and it's AJ Foyt, and he says, "Hey, asshole, what do you think about all this?" and I said, "Hey," I think it's great for Indy and IndyCar racing in general. And he said, "I do too." He said, "Roger called me early this morning and told me what was going on." He goes, "I really appreciate that." So I called Mario and Bobby Youngster and the boys and just got some reaction from them. And I think everybody that cares about it, John, understands that this is not only is this huge news, but it's really good news because you got a guy that's got so much respect, what a business acumen this guy's got. He's a billionaire. And nothing means more to him than Indianapolis Motor Speedway and IndyCar racing, which he proves year in and year out. So to quote my old buddy Dan Gurney, Roger has skin in the game, and he puts his money where his mouth is, and I don't know that we could have had a better result than we had today.
It's Robin Miller of NBC on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. You've always mentioned that there needs to be a bigger purse overall for the 500. Is that one of the things that we may end up seeing by virtue of now moving forward?
Well, yeah, I'm writing a column right now about this whole thing, and I just said, this is. I mean, Mark Miles and Jay Fry have done a really nice job, and they've got a lot of things to be commended for, but they can't write a check and make the purse better and bigger. They don't control the money, and the Holman George family quit investing in the Speedway 10 years ago, 12 years ago. So the purse has been stagnant for 10 years. The IndyCar purses themselves are a joke. I mean, it pays your tire bill. If you win an IndyCar race other than Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it pays $35,000. So I'm hoping with Roger Penske's expertise and as many people as he's found through the years to help run his business, he'll find some marketing genius that's going to go out and sell a title sponsorship for the Indy 500 and put $10 million or so into the purse, or $5 million, or whatever they can get, and then maybe figure out a way to prop up the series purchase so somebody can actually afford to do this and maybe even break even or make a little money.
So Robin Miller with us. Besides that, that's the first thing that occurred to me when I saw this going down this morning, is because you've since we've been together and you've been on my show, you've always have talked about this. But Roger had mentioned, you're going to have to break some glass. What do you think some of that glass that is going to be broken? Some things that folks around here can expect change-wise moving into the future as far as IMS, the Indy 500, IndyCar, or any of that is concerned?
Well, I don't know. I know that it's going to, everybody says the right things when something like this happens. Everybody's going to stay in place. It's like Schmidt Peterson's not going to hire the drivers. Well, I've been saying for 3 months, McLaren's going to hire the drivers, and Roger Penske is going to pick his people, and I think Greg Penske, his son, will end up being a major player in this whole deal as far as the day-to-day activities and what goes on, because Greg is he's a clone of his father. He's a sharp business guy, attention to detail, and I don't think Roger's going to go in and just clean house, but I think he's going to look around He's going to ask a lot of questions. He's not going to be here every day. He's not going to, he'll probably be jet in a couple times a month. But he's got enough of a handle on what's going on, and especially the key for Roger Penske, Johnny, is the people he hires, whatever it is, Detroit Diesel, Hertz Truck Renting, his IMSA team, his Indycar team, they stay forever because they're loyal and they're good. And that's what he'll do. He will find the best people. And that's what the Speedway needs. And it's no disrespect to Tony George or his sisters, but they took this thing as far as it could go. They weren't putting any more money in it. They don't have the expertise Roger Penske has to go into a boardroom and strike a deal for sponsors. And Roger's so impressive. And, Bobby Unser said a little while ago, he goes, Robin, he's 83 years old. He's not going to be around forever. I said, well, neither are you, Unser, but goddamn, he's on an airplane every day flying all over the world. I said, I think for 83 years old, he's pretty active, not to mention he only sleeps 3 or 4 hours a day. So I don't see how, honest to God, I don't see how we could have had anything better for open wheel racing, because right now, John, NASCAR, I mean, they're trying to sell NASCAR and ISC, and they're going to cut a bunch of races out of their schedule in a couple of years, and when the TV deal gets restructured, they're going to be down to about 25 cars, and they don't really, I mean, this couldn't be better. The timing couldn't be better than it is right now for IndyCar racing, because you finally got a guy like Roger Penske who actually has a vision that's going to and going to lead this thing. And don't ever kid yourself. He only sleeps 4 hours a night, and yeah, he's 83 years old. He is so sharp still, and his drive to succeed will be the best thing that ever happened to the Indy 500.
So Robin Miller, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I know McLaren's there. You got already, Honda and Chevrolet. He's going to try to get more engine manufacturers. He mentioned that today too.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Roger. What's he run? He runs a Ford in NASCAR, a Honda in IMSA, and a Chevy in IndyCar racing. Think he's got pretty good connections?
Yeah.
You think anybody trusts him?
So you think Ford will be here sooner rather than later, or back here? I guess.
Well, I mean, that's what Ford, the fourth or third or whatever he has, always said we're not going to go IndyCar racing. But Roger can be pretty persuasive when he has to be. I think. I mean, I just think there are so many things to do, and and everybody's going to say, well, don't expect this to be an overnight. I mean, you might not see any real change for a year or so, or a real progress in something that we haven't seen before, but give the guy a chance and give him some time to put his people in place and his plan in place, because he's the smartest guy I've ever met, period. And, we were laughing a minute ago. Him and Mark Miles are sitting on the front straightaway at Indy, and they're calling people back. And I said to Miles, I said, oh, yeah, now you call me back. You didn't call me back over the weekend. He goes, yeah, I knew what you wanted.
Right.
So they're sitting there calling media back all over the country. But honest to God, I mean, I don't think I've ever met somebody that commands the worldwide presence in business that Roger does, that it could be just as happy eating breakfast at Charlie Brown's with his Indy old-timers hat on as he could be flying on his jet. I mean, he cares that much about the Indianapolis 500. It's so much a part of his life, so much a part of his resume, so much a part of what that drives him to get up every morning. I mean, it's Indy, and it's IndyCar racing, it's racing in general. So if Roger would have taken over IndyCar racing in 1979 when Dan Gurney wrote the white paper that really started, the white paper was really the impetus to start CART, which finally brought IndyCar racing into the 20th century in 1979. If Roger would have sold his team like Bernie Ecclestone did in Formula One and run IndyCar racing, you'd have never heard of NASCAR, because IndyCar racing would have buried him, because Roger Penske's that smart, that organized, that respected, and thought that far ahead. I mean, Danny Sullivan had the greatest line of all time. He said, when the music stops, RP's always got a chair. Yes, he does. And he's got furniture scattered all over the country because he knows what the hell's going on, and nobody surprises him. And I was just telling him, I said, you know what? This may be a bigger surprise. This was a better job of keeping this a secret than when you brought the Mercedes engine to Indy in '94. He goes, I'd have to say so. He goes, I can't believe you didn't send me an email or a text. And I said, well, I just figured you wouldn't respond, and I was going to wait till this week anyway. He goes, yeah, you waited too long.
It's a Robin Miller of NBC. Before I let you go, I want to ask, this is another question regarding lights. Is that going to be a foregone conclusion out there? And what about Doug Bowles? Is Doug Bowles going to continue moving forward as the IMS president?
I have no idea, but I don't think you'll see lights, because I think Roger understands that lights aren't going to save the NASCAR race. Lights aren't going to put 100,000 people in there for practice and qualifying. Lights aren't going to, if you have a 6-hour and 8-hour endurance race, what are you going to draw, 5,000 people? I think RP knows that Indy it's always been a day race. It's got to stay a day race, and I'd be shocked if it ever had lights, because just the price alone is unbelievable. Now, speaking of prices, Uncle Bobby Unser said, Robin, how much do you think RP spent? I said, shit, Unser, I have no idea. What do you think it's worth? And he said, a couple of $1 billion. I said, well, I don't know about that. I mean, that would be one of the great mysteries, is how much is the Speedway worth, John? That it's 700 acres.
How much do you think it is? What's the number? You got to have a number in your column, don't you?
No, I have no. I honest to God have no. I called Randy Bernard today, and I said, Randy, give me a number for what's the Speedway's value? I said, you knew what the books and stuff were, and he goes, well, I didn't know everything, but he said, I have no idea. I said, well, guys are throwing $2 billion around. I heard that a couple times today, but I don't know how you quantify how much it's worth, Johnny. Are there 680 acres of land, and yeah, I mean, they've made a lot of great improvements over the years, but you've got the upkeep of the grandstands, and as long as you have NBC and Fox television money, they're going to do okay for stock cars. But when that money runs out on television, and you don't get $15 million a year like the Speedway gets right now to have the Brickyard, why are you going to keep having it? To draw 35,000 people, you're going to lose your butt. I just think a lot of different things can happen here in the next few years, and but I think not to reiterate, but I mean, for IndyCar racing and the Indy 500 in general, this is the best thing that could. And like Mario said, I haven't been this giddy in years. He goes, I've been walking around the house smiling, because he goes, I just know what this means for IndyCar racing, and I think that's probably, we're always pretty quick to always find something wrong with somebody, and this sucks, or this guy can't do this, or whatever, I guess, what is it, Adam Vinatieri, they want to string him up now. He's public enemy number one. Really, folks, get off of it. But, yeah, I just think with Roger, look, he's been a lot of people hate it when they win the race every year, and I wrote a column once that said, I hate seeing him ride around the pace car every year, but I got to give him credit. He certainly knows how to do it. It's just that there's a class. He brings class to everything he does, and what he'll bring to the Speedway and IndyCar series is he'll bring an organization and a game plan like you've never seen before.
It's Robin Miller. We got to run here, but did you mention, is Doug Bowles going to stay on, or is that going to be one of the situations evaluated here, or what happens?
I got no clue. I don't know who's going to stay and who's going to go, but I think Roger has seen that Mark Miles and Jay Fry are certainly two people he'll probably want to keep, and I really don't know beyond that. But you got to help. You got to find. You got the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the Indianapolis 500. Are you telling me you can't find a title sponsor? I bet you Roger Penske can. So I would think, let's build up the marketing department, and we'll take it from there. But RP's probably got, he's got so many things to probably look at. He's going to walk around tomorrow at the Speedway during the day and just take a couple people with him that, one's a mechanic, another guy's been an observer, and he's just going to ask them, I think, their opinion about, and Mark Miles will be with him about, what about this? When's the last time we upgraded this? Is this in disrepair? Do we need to add? What about our Wi-Fi system? We're going to have online betting this coming May. We got to upgrade our Wi-Fi system. What about parking? I mean, there's just so many things to look at. And guess what? RP will cover all the bases, Joey.
It's Robin Miller, NBC's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Busy day for you. Hey, thanks for hopping on here, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, son. You know that. Now get your butt to Working Man's Friend next time I send you an email.
No, I couldn't make it that day, but I normally try to go. You know that. But yeah, when you go again, let me know.
I will, buddy.
See ya. Thanks, R.
Bye, Johnny.
Robin Miller's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I hope Doug stays, man. I love Doug.